the greater Monterey Chamber of Commerce. Today, you see, we have a full house. This is a wonderful event. This is the first time Chamber putting a platform to invite all the candidates upcoming. Because before we have at large voting, now we have a district. So we have from District 1 to District 5, all the candidates upcoming to say hi and showing what they can do for our business and our residents community. Thank you so much to come with us and enjoy and knowing who they are, what they can do for our city of Monterey Park.
So that the business will actually come here and attract the newer generation, younger generation.
Okay, anybody? You want to go down the line?
I don't decide.
Okay.
So, I'm there. The only way we're going to have increase our general fund is through a tax base. And if we don't have good business development in the city, we want to have that base to take care of our fund our public service, the fire department, police department, and look at our infrastructure. And then you look at our streets. Some of the streets needs reslurring or redone, and that's really important to the community. And I think that we can work with businesses, but I think with the 2 hotel projects that are coming up, that will bring in more businesses because it will establish a really nice business area. I think over the years, I hope we can develop a really nice business area, and I haven't seen the strategic plan or the general plan for the city yet, but I'm sure that we're going to be looking at those issues as they come up.
Thank you. You know, we need a level of creativity that we haven't seen, I think, for a while. For example, I'd like to see the Spirit Bus go down to the Gold Mine and pick up people there and bring them back into the city. It's ironic, we're in walking, our boundaries in walking distance. And yet, people don't even know that the city is here, but it's that kind of thing. Maybe we need to think about a shuttle which moves around the city here. Maybe we need to think about attracting the kind of nightlife that we don't have in the city right now. Appropriately zoned and so on and so forth. So I think a level of creativity which is absent right now, because we just have expected things to happen, but nobody has really come together in this community and said, how can we make this work? How can we make this a more business-friendly city? And one which attracts, if you want to attract young people, you have to have activities for young people. Ironically, our AMC Theater attracts lots of young people because it has Chinese films and things like that. So we have the potential to attract a younger generation, and we simply need to capitalize on what works. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We know what kind of activities young people are interested in. For example, we have no karaoke here. I can tell you that in other cities where they have karaoke, they're mobbed. They just mob. And this is a simple investment, really. So there, you know, all we need to do is do some thinking, and we need a city council that itself is business friendly. That means we need people on that city council who understand the importance of expanding our tax base and doing it in a way which is friendly to our own community, friendly to our residents. Our residents have to approve what's going on here. We cannot move forward and leave our residents behind. They have to have input. That means we need to have the kind of dialogue which was very difficult to do when we were an at-large city. Because every one of our at-large representatives has to cover the whole city. But now, because we are in a district situation, it's possible for our district representatives to be dealing with smaller communities, getting feedback from those communities, communicating with those communities, and coming up with ideas, local ideas, which was so difficult to do in an at-large community. So I think the potential is there. I know that the energy is there. I really like these people up here, by the way. I know that they're sincere and that they really want to see the kinds of changes, kind of progressive changes, which will move us forward, but still respect the small town feel that we have. And really, that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that we can move forward progressively, but we preserve what's best about it. We preserve why we're here. and not let that slip away from you. So I'm going to turn this over now to Rachel.
Thank you. So I dragged my fiance Jason here to Monterey Park. We used to live in LA, and I convinced him to move here. And since he's lived here on Friday nights and Saturday nights when we're looking for some place to eat, I try to keep it in Monterey Park. But we often end up in Alhambra or San Gabriel or Pasadena. And part of the reason is because as much as we want to spend our money here, there aren't enough businesses. There are a lot of empty storefronts and a lot of empty restaurants. And I think part of the reason why that is the case is because, as Allan said, we do need some creativity in terms of how we attract entrepreneurs. My father owned his own small business for over 35 years. And that entrepreneurial spirit is really strong here in Monterey Park. There are a lot of people of my generation who have graduated from Marquette, gone on to college, and have started these amazing small businesses. We had one, I remember a few years ago, Fluff Ice down at Atlantic Times Square, classmates of ours who started that. Have so many people that I went to high school with who are starting small businesses, and they want to bring it back here to their hometown, but they face challenges. And I think part of the reason for that is because we need a city council that is going to enable small entrepreneurs to be able to open up their businesses here. We need to be able to support them through the chamber and through other means to ensure that they can run healthy businesses. I think the other thing that's really special about Monterey Park is our food culture here. We love to eat. And I always tell this story because my father has a friend who lives in Arizona. He drives 6 hours once a month to come here to eat, and then drives back. And I can't imagine doing that, but that's how special our mom and pop restaurants are here. And we need to capitalize on that spirit and that sense of nostalgia and love for our restaurants. I want to do things that will elevate those mom and pop restaurants that we have here in our city, attract more diners. We already do, thanks to a lot of the reviews that Jonathan Gold wrote about us in the LA Times. But we need to build on that. And that's what I want to do here in the City Council.
Actually, if I wanted to respond to the question about increasing the businesses and also the younger families to come to Monterey Park, I think to me, development is one of the key, because all the businesses, they are looking for the right location to put their business in. So if we don't have the right locations, that they will not attract a certain type of businesses. Let's say marketplace. We have the marketplace in front of the freeway. And so Costco, Home Depot, we can attract mainstream business to come to Monterey Park. But then we have to think about is, do we have more locations and maybe remodel or maybe rebuild a certain street or development to attract a certain type of businesses. So I'm actually I'm a member of General Plan 2040, and then we're thinking about how we can attract, let's say, the downtown Monterey Park, the Garfield Street, to attract more of a newer development, maybe at least a facelift. We're not trying to change the culture, but then we want to attract younger families and also more different businesses to come to Monterey Park. So I think that would be one of the key. And also when I walk the district, I walk about 3,000 families already. So I figure out a lot of the family houses there, more of older generations. And now we want to attract younger families, and they're looking for smaller, maybe more affordable housing, but newer development. So we may actually want to see if we can have mixed-use development in a smaller scale that located maybe in a less traffic area, because we want everything balanced. We don't want overdevelopment in a certain area. So make sure everything that has to be balanced with traffic and development. So this is actually our job as a general plan, and also hopefully my job will be in the future councilman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, Arthur, thank you for asking that great question. So Arthur and I actually serve on the city's Economic Development Advisory Commission, yes, along with Phil Smith here. And you know, when we have our meetings, we share a lot of ideas in our conversation, a lot of opinions about what's good, what's not good about Monterey Park. You know, we actually did an exercise called a SWOT analysis, in which we talked about all the great qualities, and that's, I think, definitely, which no one disagrees, is its reputation as a cultural and food mecca. We also agree that historically it's been a gateway to many communities for many people who come in successive waves to want to live here. And so we definitely have rich resources. I mean, we're one of the few cities that actually has a community college, and we're in close proximity to County LA. And I think that one of the focuses I want to make is workforce development. So, as a school board member on the Garvey Elementary School District, I'm very proud that we actually have a partnership. We built a partnership with East LA College, and in that partnership, we not only provided college-level courses to our students, but also for their parents to do career development. And I believe that in a community like ours, we should be focusing on workforce skills development, not just for our youth who may be exploring careers or want to look at opportunities to go to East LA College, but their parents as well. Because a lot of the parents who work here, a lot of the adults who work here, they work in some of the industries we talked about, food sort of industry, and that's wonderful. But how do we give those adults the opportunity to improve their skills, to move up the economic ladder? And I think that is something that has been not missing, but something we need to focus more on workforce development. And furthermore, I think you just heard a lot of great ideas from the other candidates. So those of you who've probably gone to council meetings or been involved in commissions, there's not a lack of ideas. I think there's a lack of wherewithal to overcome partisan bickering and to, find out what's common good. I'll give you an example. Like, in our commission meetings, we talk about how, for example, the downtown BID, because of the way the BID is structured, sometimes council members are deadlocked, and as a consequence, they can't even agree on something like a budget for the BID. Or the fact that when we have conversations about something from traffic to crime, sometimes conversations fall into partisan bickering, and I don't think that's good for policymaking for the city. We know what is possible. Look at the marketplace. I mean, it was a long-term project, but that was done when the city was able to come together through many years of course, advocating, lobbying, and development, got a great development there. And we have so much potential along Atlantic, along Garvey. For those of you who remember the article about Monterey Park being the third best city in America, if you read very closely, I'm the person they interviewed. And when they, thank you. And I was very proud to give that testimony to the Time reporter for Money Magazine. And I talked about that. If you think about potential, we are the epicenter of several freeways. The 10, the 60, 710. We are a transportation hub. We are close proximity to Metrolink, to a Gold Line. We have so much potential. We are the home, as I mentioned, of a community college. We have the reputation of being a place, a destination. My friends, when they come here, they always come here when they say, hey, what's good dim sum? And I always tell them my opinion. So we have so much resources, we have so much potential. It just requires wherewithal to channel all the good ideas from not just the candidates, but from all of you in the community, and to find common ground in which we can address development, address housing, address workforce development. All these things, which taken holistically, I think can put the city on a much firm and more positive future.
Okay, thank you very much.
Going on, because if we put it in 3 years or whatever years later, it still come to a point where we don't have enough time. So hopefully we put on the ballot, support that, and hopefully people start reading and knowing what's going on and vote on it. Thank you.
I think my sentiment about this general plan issue is that I do believe that probably there needs to be more public information and education. Now, I myself actually had the opportunity, I personally attended the General Plan Advisory Committee when they deliberated over at City Hall. I've also personally, at the Trade Boston Festival, also participated in a survey as well as doing it online. But that's also because I'm interested in what's going on in the city, but that doesn't mean everyone else is. I've even gone to council meetings as they deliberated about issues like housing overlay, raising height restrictions, about business corridors, about what is needed to let the city move forward. However, if you went to the last council meeting in which they discussed this, it was not a very well-attended council meeting, and therefore I think that the question is, was it wise or not? Well, a lot of work has been put in to updating general plan, and we have to do it. But my concern is that, yes, without public education, it may not do well. And so I think that's something I would have done differently, make sure there was more public education and informed about what the impact is. So.
Thank you.
Just very briefly, a little bit about air quality, about the environment. I guess I want to know more about what each of you as City Council member would be doing to do anything about the environment, about the climate, about air quality, all that kind of stuff. How aggressive are you going to be when it comes to things like recycling or waste management or things like that? Because I feel like although the top priorities for many of you are like things about business growth and safety and potholes.
Jobs?
Jobs, sure, yes, but this is an important issue as well, and I would like to hear more from each of you what you're going to do. Yes.
Sure. 1 minute, right? Okay, I'll try to be more succinct. Okay, absolutely. Air quality is very important. I'm actually participating in the Purple Sensor project. I have a sensor in front of my house in which I get to monitor what the level of air pollution and also contribute to a regional study. And I think that that's the thing that we should really expand and roll out so that as many residents participate so that we know what are we facing. And as for what the city can do, I believe the city can certainly lead by example. Its facilities install more solar panels to try and reduce our carbon footprint. As a school board member at the Garvey School District, we actually entered into a contract last year so that hopefully by the end of the decade, 80% of our energy will come from solar energy. I think we also need to look at how we improve our public transit so that there's greater connectivity to the regional transit system. We encourage alternative transportation. We encourage ride sharing. I think all which taken together can reduce our carbon footprint, as well as looking at our building codes, building standards. Are we encouraging building codes that are sustainable, that encourages a clean development? And yes, I have read, so yes, but that's what I would do.
Actually, I have a lot of passions in green environment. I'm a person that always love recycling. I care about where the recycle will go. I visit the recycle centers. I care about how we're going to have the different color of bin, and later on figure out that if we do our own recycling, that even less efficient than other people doing it. So I care about also solar panel, electric. And also, I do have my own passion. I have my own electric car. And so I would support all kinds of green and recycle issues for the city. But as long as everything has to be a balance to see what our budget is and also how it can really effectively deliver that to different residents. So I'm a big supporter of that. Thank you.
As a grassroots organizer, this was the one issue that me and my friends cared deeply about when we started talking about issues in Monterey Park. We throw all of our trash into the same bin here in Monterey Park, and we had big questions about what that meant. A few months ago, I had the opportunity, Chen was nice enough to take me on a tour of our Athens facility, our MRF, and I got to see how our recyclables are taken out of the waste stream and out of the landfill, and how so a significant percentage of our recyclables are actually recycled. It's been really interesting going door to door because this issue comes up a lot with my neighbors who say, well, either they've lived in Taiwan or in other countries, and over there they recycle. Why do we throw over? So I've been doing a lot of educating. You're welcome, Ed, about what that means in our city. I think that what we have to do, because Monterey Park is a relatively small city and we can do a lot here, we can be a model for other cities in our area about what environmental sustainability looks like in Monterey Park, including transportation, including solar panels and all of that. And so we can be a leader in this field.
I recycle. I drive an electric car. I think we all, first of all, each one of us needs to accept some responsibility for our environment. We can look to our government to do what it can to create a checklist, a green checklist, so that every aspect of government activity can be matched up to that green checklist. And let's do whatever is feasible, whatever is cost effective. Unfortunately, we don't control our own air. When there's a fire somewhere else, we're all coughing here in Monterey Park. So there are certain limitations that we have. But it really is a case of, as my colleagues say, a willingness to do things. We don't recycle here. We could recycle. There are cities smaller than Monterey Park that recycle. But again, this requires a degree of education and community cooperation because habits are difficult to break. It may take us a while to do so, but I'm sure that we can improve our green profilings.
Well, it's important for our climate. I worry about the future for our kids. I remember when I was a six-year-old, running around here in Monterey Park, and all the brown air, it really hurts your lungs. And it's nice to see that we're getting to a point where the air is a lot cleaner, but it's not. We have we're trying to go by 3 freeways. A lot of cars getting off and off the freeways. It's working with our neighboring cities on the traffic issues to make sure that we continue to run. Doing solar energy, our school district will be putting solar energy at all of our schools pretty soon. And even the city should be looking at that too, putting solar energy and really looking at recycling. I know they have environmental club that they're doing, and you know what, Athens has been really great. I know they do recycling at the center itself, because people ask me, and I says, you know what, they do it at the center. They recycle, they go through all that trash. But so I hope that we can have a cleaner future for our family.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Yes, we have a question in the back. I'm sorry that it doesn't reach out there.
That's okay, I'll just yell it out.
Problems that we can anticipate. So I want to share a few things with you because I think it's really important. We're coming up to a unique situation with respect to the police department. A kind of tsunami of retirements, of transfers, of promotions, and we're going to be in a situation in the next 3 to 5 years in which we are actually not going to be able, unless we put a plan in place, we're not going to be able to replace the officers who are leaving the service for one reason or another. In other words, our police department is actually going to start to shrink. I have a plan that I actually don't want to discuss publicly because I don't want to discuss it in the media. I want to discuss it on the level of the city council. But this is something which is going to impact all of us because right now we have only 5 officers driving around. That is if they're not eating lunch or making a report or doing something else. We have 1.6 officers for every 10,000 people in the city. It's not a sustainable situation.
Thank you, Allan. I learned of that reality about our police department recently in conjunction with hearing all of these stories always about how wonderful our police department is. Your question was specifically to road traffic and safety, and I think that we need to take a 21st century approach to solving issues of traffic. There's a lot of data that we can collect and determine which intersections are the most dangerous, what times of day are causing the most accidents, and I think we need to use that kind of data, collect that kind of data, use it to help our police department be able to make the best decisions in terms of how they're patrolling and how they can curb really bad driving. I think that, as somebody who's endorsed by the Police Officers Association, I want to make sure that they have the resources that they need to be able to execute a really strategic plan to address these issues. Recently, we had a really terrible tragedy just across the street. A young gentleman died because he was hit by a car, and there's a lot of intersections in our city where it's dark and unsafe, and I want to make sure to work with police to solve that.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say I'm fully supportive of a police officer. And then the main thing is we wanted to sit down with them and see how we can cooperate with them. Because a lot of the issues that, as a resident, we may not be able to see what the internal operations will be. So I had a chance to actually talk to them about what they're concerned. But as a city councilman, I think we have to partner with them and help them, assist them. Because some of the issues that they will tell you, let's say they don't have enough parking, let's say for the employees, and that actually really affects their daily job. And also maybe their tool, their resources is not enough. So as a city councilman, we want to partner with them and make sure that they have enough resources to really perform their job. And so make them happy, and also for budget-wise, hopefully we can fulfill their pensions, and also we have to support them in all aspects. So hopefully, yeah, I'm fully supportive with the policemen.
No, it was very enlightening for me to participate in a ride-along. And for any of you in the audience who have never done that, I would definitely encourage you to ride along with the police, because they can tell you firsthand, the areas where there's crime, and also listen to the statistics as well as the needs of the police department. And I think that to address the question about traffic, about safety, well, definitely it's something that I want to work closely with the police officers in the city. I do agree that we can improve our staffing levels. I agree that we need to also look at how we can look at the data about where are intersections that maybe could use an extra stop sign or perhaps a traffic signal because of the level of load, and also of where we can improve code enforcement, as well as in making sure that traffic safety is a priority. And to that end, I do, as elected, want to work very closely with our police officers to make sure that personnel levels are where we need to be, resources are given so that they can do their job. And that's also why the Monterey Park Police Officers Association endorsed me as well for seat number 4.
Can I make a follow-up comment?
Someone is going to say this. For about the resources, we can't increase our police patrols. We have to have a good, solid development and tax base to have the funds to increase police patrol in the area. With the school safety is most important to me as a school board member, and we take that very seriously. We work
and also help remodel or promote new businesses for the Monterey Park, and that will have a big impact on our revenue, and also that mostly benefits police, firefighter, and the public works. So hopefully we will build a better city and move to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you. If I understand the question again, Doris, is should the city work more closely with the chamber? And I think the question is an absolute yes. One of the benefits I have as being a staffer for an assembly member is that I get to visit a lot of different regional chambers in different cities, and I see what works and what doesn't work, and I see what programming also works. And I can tell you right now that chambers were originally conceived to promote businesses, also promote the community as well, and the market. And therefore, it makes absolute sense that the city needs to work closely with the chamber, needs to support the chamber, so that in hand, when the city is developing its economic policy, that not just they are developing that policy, but they also have a vehicle to engage with the business for input, to engage with businesses, to understand how best to promote the business climate, to improve the business climate, and also to help promote developments in the city. And therefore, it's a given. And I think that the city should already be working more closely with its Chamber of Commerce. But the fact that there have been issues, I would certainly turn that around as a council member.
Next question.